Hi, my name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects for people with residential and commercial properties all around the world. Today I'm going to show you a decorative painting technique, how-to technique, to create this snakeskin finish. So let's get our tools, let's get our materials, and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I've done to get ready for today's technique is I base coated the surface using the quartz primer. The quartz primer is a water-based interior-exterior primer with a lot of tooth. It has grit in it, so it grabs the plaster. So we want a flat finish for this technique. We don't want anything smooth, no satins, no eggshells, no low sheen, no semi-gloss. We want the flat, has that grip to it so the plaster sticks to it, doesn't slip and slide. We're going to start off, and you can tint this with any color you want if you so choose, with pigment, never paint. Paint will dilute the primer, break down the properties of it, and it's absolutely worthless. So what we're going to be using to base is Modern Masters Texture Effects. It's a textured plaster, interior only. It has an aggregate to it. Cleans up with soap and water. You can tint it with pigment, never paint. Paint will break that down as well. Do not use it outside. It won't work for exterior use. I think that's pretty much it. So to get started, we have our spatula, small pavon trowel. The texture effects, you want to stir it. When you get it from the store, it settles. Take a squirrel mixer, a squirrel cage mixer, never anything with fins because it's a plastic bucket. If you put a mixer in that has fins on it, it'll scratch the edge of the bucket and break the plastic particles and get it into the plaster, creating a bigger mess one that you don't need to deal with. So just stir it up with the cage mixer. All right, that way it gets nice and fluffy. So here we go. We're going to take a little bit and put it on our trowel. Like so. Do not put it from top to bottom, just put it on that top edge. That way we control it. Less is more in this case. We don't want a lot of plaster. If you put a lot of plaster on here, you're going to work twice as hard. Put it where you want it because it spreads out as I go across the surface. So I keep gathering it up with my spatula. Alright, the trowel is almost flat. It just rolls right off the trowel. If you hold it too high, nothing happens. If you hold it too flat, not the same thing. Alright, if I'm putting this on, here's my ceiling. Come across the top. And then pull it down. This is my corner to another wall, same thing. Whoops. It's a messy plaster. It just rolls around it. Just make sure you put the cloths down on the floor. We don't need a perfectly smooth finish for this. It's okay to have some imperfections, but we do want 100% coverage. Yeah, see how it doesn't like to just stick. Now if I did multiple layers of this plaster, it sticks to itself better than it does the primer. It still sticks, don't take that the wrong way. It just gives you a little bit of a fight at times. Alright, come back through and clean this up a little bit. Now I need an even coat. I'm trying to go for about a 1/16 of an inch in thickness. And you can tell as you pull the trowel across, if there's thicker plaster in areas, you'll feel the trowel slide across the surface easier. Where it's thinner, you get a little bit resistance. So I can tell right through the middle I got a lot of plaster because the trowel just picks up some speed. Alright, that's what we're looking for. Clean your tools because this stuff is wicked, meaning it dries on there, you're going to be scraping and scrubbing and you're going to scratch your trowel and you have a worthless trowel. And put the lid back on the bucket. Now, next step. Good old-fashioned garden pump sprayer. The bug sprayer. Any of the home stores have it. Paint stores have it. It's like, get a good one. They're like $5. Cheap ones are $1. Spend a couple dollars. Pump it up, put it on the fan, and we're going to mist this like so. And it's a pretty good dousing. And the reason is I'm hydrating the surface. The plaster is dry. When I put my texture roller to it, it's going to suck the roller in and it's not going to give me the desired effect, meaning all these little lines when they go into the plaster aren't going to be clean and crisp. They're going to be really distorted because as it goes, it pulls, holds it in. As the roller comes across, then the plaster comes back and folds in on itself. This is a slip coat is what we call it. Now the other thing is, see my mark on my roller? See that little black mark? If you don't mark your roller and you just go like this, the seams from this piece to this piece won't match. All right. Now, since this is a odd shaped board or odd size, let's put this roller here. I'm going to start in the center because I want this to be nice and clean. And just pull it right down. That's it. Take your black line, match it right back to the spot we had. Alright, see what I did? Too thin of plaster. The plaster is too thin here, here, and here. Because there's no imprint. Now, I could fix that by just going back and redoing it, but for the purpose of this demonstration, you're going to see exactly what happens, so we're just going to leave it. Now, this has to dry 100% before we come back and do anything else. That usually takes about 2 to 3 hours, depending on temperature and humidity. So, let's set it off to dry and we'll see in a little bit. Okay, so the plaster is dried. We're ready to move on to the next step, which is applying a glaze to give it some interest, to start making that texture pop. Right now you can't see anything, not the texture, I'm sorry, the imprint. So for this we're going to use Modern Masters Tintable Glaze. This tints with pigment, not paint. Paint will cause it to dry too quickly. You want to use pigments. And they actually make their own line of tintable or pigments to tint with. You can pretty much use anything. I use Mixols all the time. They're my favorite. This is just simply burnt umber with a pinch of Van Dyke Brown in it. And maybe, and a hint of black. Okay, cleans up with soap and water. Interior only. What else? That's it. So for that, now we're going to take our Purdy Peacock, the black nylon bristle brush. That's my favorite brush because it's a nice soft brush. And we're going to take our water bottle again. Light mist to hydrate the plaster. Get a little bit of glaze. And just, ooh, that's dark. Wasn't the color I thought it was going to be. It'll work. It's a little darker than what I wanted it to be. That's what I get for not doing a test piece. So you're going to brush it in there. Now, you can use joint compound for this, and if you do, you're going to have to add more steps where you're going to have to put 2 coats of primer. This plaster dries and doesn't require priming. Joint compound will also not be as durable. This is a very hard product when it dries, meaning durable, durable, durable. Joint compound, you look at it the wrong way, it's going to leave a scratch or a scuff. Now, I'm brushing it, not rolling it, because I don't want to put a whole lot of glaze on the surface. I just want to get it into it. Like so. If you roll it, it's not really going to get down in there. And you're like, oh my gosh, how are you going to do a big wall like that? Take your time. Maybe have a helper. One person painting it on, another ragging it off. It's not a big deal. That's why you don't want to use... don't skimp on glaze. Some glazes stay wet longer than the others. This is one that stays wet for quite a while. A lot of the big box store glazes dry very, very quickly. You're going to have trouble. Okay, you could use a bigger brush too. That would go a lot quicker. But we'll be alright. Get it down in there. See, even the brush is having a tough time getting it in there. There we go. Alright, now next step. Color-free, lint-free rag. We don't want any color on the rags because if we put it on the surface, it simply could leave, like if I use a red rag, it could very well leave red on the finish. I'm going to go over the top of it, like so, and just start bringing out Whoops, plaster wasn't, got a little something there. I want the dark, so let me read back up here. Glaze is a transparent medium. When you add the pigment to it, it then can start to become, it's semi-transparent or translucent. So the areas where the glaze is thicker, it gets darker. Where the areas it's thinner, it gets lighter. So it helps to enhance everything. Now another little fun trick sometimes is I'll take my brush and go back over top of it. It creates this, it burnishes the glaze a little bit. It'll pull it up from the bottom, put it on the top, and it gives it a really nice, worn, hand-rubbed look. It's a very light touch with a clean brush, okay? You can use a softener if you want, but a paintbrush works just fine. That's why I love my Purdy's, because it's a soft bristled brush and I don't see any brush marks. Back and forth crosshatch pattern. All right, that's it for this part. We're gonna let it dry 100% overnight, because if the glaze isn't dry for the next step when we apply the wax to really further enhance this thing, we're gonna have a big mess on our hands. All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, so our glaze is dry. Let's see if you can see the texture. All right, see that? There it is. Pretty cool so far. Whoops. Sorry, I have to look off to the side so I can see what you're seeing from your perspective. So you can leave it like that. It can be interesting, it's fun. But there's more. So we're gonna take an old brush, just an old brush, and I'm gonna start out with my copper wax. I'm gonna put some on the brush. I have to use a brush because I gotta get it down in those crevices. But I need a rag so I can buff off the excess. So watch this, let's get it in here. This is the Italian polishing wax that I have, and it comes in various colors. Obviously it comes in clear, then it goes gold, silver, bronze, then you copper, you name it, they're all out there. So I'm gonna just take my time and get it on there. See how it's changing? Do this one over here, watch. We're gonna have some fun with this. So again, see how easy it goes on? Now the wax is a little warm because I intentionally warmed it up by over whipping it, so it's pretty soft and lubricated basically, or otherwise it's pasty. I know it's changing the color, it's the copper, so it's going to change the color, it's going to enhance it, it's not changing the color. You'll see when I get done here. So that's step one. Let's take a clean rag, again, lint-free, color-free rag. I'm going to fold it. Okay, I don't want to use this part because I simply want to go across the top and grab it. Okay. So it's down in the crevices and a little bit on resting on the top. So ready, here we come in. See the difference now? See it coming to life? Let's go back, it's too bright. See how it changed it so dramatically? But we're not done. I'm going to jump into some bronze. And I'm going to start out here and work it in, because I want to, you'll see the effect. Now I'm working it all in together, so it's still going to blend. So what's happening now is the bronze is going to come in, mix with that copper. It's okay, that's what we want. See how it's getting dark on the edges? That's what I'm going for. I want those darker edges. We could probably bring it in a little bit more too. A little more on this side. The wax is so much fun. You can just keep building it up, doing all kinds of fun stuff with layers. I know you're going, well, why didn't you just mix them together? Because I want the copper here, and I want the bronze out here. If I mix them together, then we just get one new color, and we don't have that little separation of color. I'm going to hit a little bit in the center to just give it a touch. Take my rag and just dab it like so. Now I need this to dry 100% because I'm going to come back with one more color of wax, and I don't want it to become part of it, meaning part of the other waxes. I want it to be on top of it. So we're going to let this dry for a few minutes out. But here, watch. Start to see the difference? See that darker edge? See that center? Oh, yeah, we're getting there. All right, see you in a little bit. All right, so the wax is completely dried. Now what we're going to do is come back into it and throw a little highlight, gold over top of it. We're going to use gold to create some more highlights. So this is this is called a highlight gold because there's a couple different golds. We don't want the bright gold, we don't want a yellowy gold, I just want hints of gold. So I'm going to take a little bit, I'm actually going to offload some of this here because it's so much. You see that gold? I'm just going to dust the top of it. I'm not trying to get it down in those crevices. I want to just go over the top and just catch the top of it. Okay, that's it. You let this set a little bit. We can pounce off some of the extra if we want. Give it a little buff. Let's peel our tape. Here, let's do this first. See all that now? See the darker, hold on, darker on the sides, all right? So it looks like it's got that in there. Get a good close-up of that. See all that happening? Look how pretty that is. It's got a nice luster to it. When you pull the tape, see how messy it is? Because it's messy. It wants to fight me. Why is the tape always, 90% of the times it doesn't stick when I want it to stick. I want to say this, but who cares? I'm just complaining for no reason. All right, here we go. Look how pretty that is now. But yeah, you see all that plaster. So you're like, whoa. So on a job, you're going to take a putty knife or a big blade, put it on the surface with a razor knife and trim it so you don't get this jagged looking stuff here. That's it. Can you see it? Bring it one more time. Look how rich that is. Yeah. Well, there you have it. Little boa constrictor. Be great for anything you could think of. Ceilings, walls, accent panels, accent walls, furniture, you name it. If it sits still long enough and it's going to look good, do it. Just do it in good taste. That's the most important rule. My name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects for clients all around the world. For more information, go to the website, thefauxschool.com, and I'll see you next time.